The role of the judiciary. Once again, we are in the political season. Parties are set to contest elections and candidates are set to vie for office in a ritual as old as democracy itself. But since the advent of the Fourth Republic in Nigeria, a very peculiar feature has emerged. Almost all election contests have ended up in court. A system of election tribunals is now integral to our system, and it is now normal to see the contest for every office rise up to the highest court in the land. Indeed, today, it may be said that no one can be sure he has won an election except our judges say so. This apparent tyranny is encouraged by our lawmakers who spend vast amounts of legislative time dealing with the refinement of the electoral law to the neglect of other business more closely related to the welfare of the people. We now have perhaps the most extensive body of electoral case law in the whole of the Commonwealth, and electoral disputes are now given the highest priority. The attention of our serving judges is diverted to attend to political questions, adding to a huge backlog of cases, burnishing our reputation for having one of the slowest judiciaries in the world. It need not be so. We call for a new approach to issues of electoral disputes, which does not involve overburdening serving judges. A new system in which retired judges of our higher courts sit to administer mediatory dispute resolution mechanisms to resolve these disputes arising from electoral contest. The political class, including the executive branch of government and the legislature, must recognize that no good can come from appropriating valuable judicial time in the pursuit of their selfish ends to the detriment of the far more important business of attending to the welfare of the people.
Well, I just want to get you right there. You said something about that the system should encourage retired judges to mediate or preside over post-election tribunals instead of serving judges, so as to allow serving judges to focus more on the issues which they were initially sworn into, like the normal day-to-day attending to justice issues, judicial issues. Yeah, it's a good thought. I like the idea, but why don't you also invest more time in our electoral processes so that you don't go back after an election to seek redress or disputes? If the election is transparent enough, I don't think we should have denial after elections.
Okay, so there are two issues that are at play there. First of all, what I advocate is that retired judges should play the role of mediators. I don't think really that the court system really fits. It's a good fit for the determination of political questions like that. You find that what you get is justice according to law. Some of these decisions are now beginning to look like they are contradicting themselves because you are dealing with clearly political questions. So what I'm advocating, first of all, the approach of these retired judges should be mediatory rather than adversarial. The thing should be for them to determine who is really entitled to it, and it should end there. Now, I want to take us back to the period of the military era, where we had our judges. Our judges at that time, because there's a significant thing that is going on. Right now, it's like our judges have the final say on who gets to office. If you look at it, that's why I call it a tyranny. You can't come into political office without our judges. Now, our politicians know that.
So you
see what I'm saying? Our politicians know that. So what is beginning to happen is that our politicians who if they become state governors, for instance, are in a position to influence the appointment of judges, what would they do? They would appoint friends. There's a pollution going on.
Okay.
Under military rule, you know, the military man will appoint you. You cannot place him in power. He knows that.
Sure.
You cannot affect his being in power. Whatever you do, you can only affect the way he runs power. So, in a way, he is not interested in who you are. If you recommend to him that if he gets a recommendation that you are good enough, he puts you there. But now it's not really the case. We need to get to a place where we do not unwittingly start to politicize the judiciary. That is why I'm saying look towards retired judges. Why? Because they have no hope or expectation from you. Their elevation, their promotion, their whatever happens to them has nothing to do with you.
You can't say it so in entirety. Suleiman, his argument, you heard his argument. Yeah. He was talking about that the idea of going back to the courts after an election, that is kind of slowing down the judicial process. Because sometimes during this election, post-election season,
and polluting it.
Yeah, whenever they are having these post-election tribunals in courts, cases that are ongoing before the election, you see, they will have to suspend all of them so that they will focus. The judges can focus on this. They will call it expedite the process. But when you now go back to their normal day-to-day activities, handling business cases, land disputes, human rights, especially human rights, human cases, unfortunately, are usually among the slowest in this country. Yeah, you know, if it is electoral something, it will be fast. In a matter of days, they've gotten their results. So why are they too slow on human rights issues? Now, his argument is that why don't we use retired judges to preside over election tribunal so that the judges in offices can actually focus on their job? And why me? I'm coming from the angle that why even going to the court in the first place? Why don't you make the electoral process so transparent that you don't need to go back to the court? That the need to going back to the court will be little or nothing. You understand? And then so that judges can focus on their job, because some of these judges are always happy with these electoral cases. I don't want to openly accuse anyone, but what I'm saying is that they seem to be enthusiastic about presiding over electoral tribunal than even attending to cases as pertinent as human rights cases and other cases. So what have you, Mr. Suleiman, please?
Okay, for me, I think my own view is even a bit different. I think bringing in retired judges into the system may, just as you have said, it really helped to boost the system, and their experience will also come to play in matter like that. But what if we look at it this way? Why not create special court for some of these cases? There are cases that should not even go to some court in the first place. Let's have a special court to try election issue, whereby that court will be saddled with the responsibility of taking care of anything that has to do with election. Let's have special court for, even if it is economic and financial crime, among other things. I quite understand that people may argue that that would be duplication of duty. Why would you say we should create special court for all sorts of things? But as you postulated, that if the system or if the process that led to the election is transparent enough, people will have little or no reason of going to court. But we must remember one thing, like we have a lot of players in this election of a team. Though the whole ball end on the desk of the judiciary, but we should remember one thing, all the actors in election must come to the term that they need to do their own part of the deal very well. To be very fair, look at the new Electoral Act. It has made it not complete, eradicate the issue of malpractice or anything, but at least it's a good step from what we used to have in the past. The Electoral Act has so make it easy that political parties are now forced, even if you don't want to. The Electoral Act has made it so easy and so difficult for political parties to now, they can't change the rule. They have to play by the rule. That is why every political party now knows that if they run foul of the law, the sanctionings are there. Look at what happened in Zamfara. Judiciary came, says that the whole candidate of a party that ran for election. If you look at the difference between APC and PDP in 2019 election, it's a whole lot of things. But because the party fails to do the right thing before the election, the judiciary came in and tell you that it is assumed in the face of the law, you don't have candidate in this election. The second round should take it. Look at what happened in Bielsa. Are you getting that? So the essence now is that they are telling politicians that you have to play by the rule. So judiciary, they have a role to play and they have their own share of the blame too. But we must look at it. The politicians and some of the actors, not just the politicians, the umpire, the electoral umpire, which is the INEC, and the civil society group, all each of these players have a role to play in making sure that we reduce the burden on the judiciary. Let me give a very good example now. Look at what happened in the recently concluded primary election in most of the major political parties. The laws are there that a candidate cannot partake in two primary elections in the same electoral season. You can see some of these candidates that even went on to contest for the presidential primary. Some of them wanted to come back and take their old position. If not for the Electoral Act, that would have been possible in the past. But the Electoral Act has made it so easy now that you don't even need to waste your time. If before now, it would have been something that, okay, they will start going to court, the court will not rule by now, but the rules are there. Nobody could change the rule. So what I'm advocating for is that all the players in election should start playing by the rule. What will play by the rule will have little job for the judiciary to work about.
Thank you very much, Suleiman and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your views and your inputs. The end always seems to come too soon on the advocate. However, the advocacy continues on our social media platforms. On Facebook, PlusTvAfrica, hashtag TheAdvocateNG, or on Twitter or Instagram at PlusTvAfrica, hashtag TheAdvocateNG. To catch up with previous broadcasts, go to PlusTvAfrica.com/TheAdvocateNG. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, PlusTvAfrica. Till next week, same time on this station. Let's keep advocating for a better society. Bye.